Climate change is a global issue, but affects people on a local scale. The rising temperatures in the atmosphere are causing a number of impacts around the globe, and researchers from Imperial College London have looked into how climate change will impact the reindeer husbandry practice in northern Sweden. In this video, they will present an adaptation plan developed specifically for this industry and location to ensure the tradition of reindeer herding can continue into the future. The four main impacts of climate change that are likely to be disruptive to the reindeer herding industry are wildfires, droughts, extended seasons, and increased rainfall. Wildfires have become and will be increasingly more common and pose a great threat to farmers and herders across the country. Droughts affect the animals' access to food and overall health. Longer summers would put pressure on food sources and could alter the food chain. Finally, more rainfall in the autumn highly increases the likelihood of hard, unbreakable snow and ice cover, making the reindeer's natural source of food, lichen, unavailable. Climate change poses a great threat to the traditional industry of reindeer husbandry, and the farmers face increased risks of economic losses unless solutions are adopted. Wildfires are hard to prepare for and adapt to, but there are two main methods to reduce the risk. By participating in forest management, especially in areas where the tree line is likely to progress to, the availability of dead biomass to fuel fires can be controlled. This would benefit both the reindeer and the health of the forest. Allowing reindeer to graze in areas close to the tree line early in the year reduces the number of trees growing in the north and saves the more northern feeding grounds for later in the season. Secondly, relocating storage buildings for food stock away from the northern progressing forest can be an important step to ensure there is enough food to last through the winter. Longer summers and shorter winters will alter ecosystems significantly, and this opens for new pests and diseases to affect the reindeer herds. It's important to educate yourself about these, as well as reduce the spread of diseases by limiting contact with other herds and euthanize affected individuals when necessary. New predators such as lynx, wolves, and brown bears will be expanding their territories to be a threat to herds. It is therefore important to increase the frequency of checkups, and protecting pregnant cows is essential. Using tracking systems allows for the herder to be notified if an individual stops moving for longer periods of time and allows you to check on it. In addition to this, food sources would be strained as there is limited regeneration time. Herders should therefore rely more on extra feed during the winter months and reduce the dependency on lichen, as this can be covered by hard ice and snow. Another adaptive action is to regulate the herd size depending on climate predictions. Temperatures in Sweden are likely to increase, with summer mean temperatures reaching 15 Celsius further north every year. This means that permafrost is going to melt further and further north. Herders should use this to their advantage and move their reindeer to melting areas, making sure there is enough water available. In dry periods, herders should ensure the access to more traditional water sources, such as rivers and lakes. With warmer temperatures in the autumn, flooding rivers and smaller lakes all over Sweden. Reindeer are smart enough to avoid marshy areas, but it could be necessary for them to cross wet areas to get from one feeding ground to the next. With less permafrost and more rain comes more marshes that could trap individual reindeer, so it is important to do frequent checkups. GPS tracking devices should be attached to the animals, which notifies you if an animal has been standing still for too long, indicating a trapped individual. In order to avoid flooded rivers and common migration routes, ditches should be dug to alleviate the pressure on the main rivers. Hard river management solutions, such as using bricks or other solid material to support the edges, could reduce maintenance efforts, but has a higher upfront cost. Reducing the dependency on individual feeding grounds and introducing alternative food sources, such as hay and grass, reduces risk of undernourishment and other health issues. You can ensure these new adaptation plans are implemented by supporting researchers in their effort to find the best solutions. At the moment, not as many herders as we would hope for are participating in the experiments. It is clear that climate change could impact the traditional industry of reindeer husbandry in multiple ways, but by preparing and adapting to these changes, your economy and herd will be able to thrive. The four most important adaptations to remember are to adapt migration routes to expected seasons and weather projections, seek educational materials about individual impacts to best prepare yourself for emergency situations, report back to local governments about the impacts you are experiencing and which adaptation methods you have used, and finally, do more frequent checkups on your herd when conditions are different from what you are used to. Climate change doesn't have to end reindeer husbandry. Be ready for change, and you and your herd will be looking towards a brighter future.